Yo, what's up? My name is KenDeep and I am a UX and UI designer. I have a lot of experience in the games industry with over 6 years, and now I am a UI designer outside of that trade. But with the Guilty Gear Strive beta, I had a lot of fun and I was really enjoying the game, and I'm really looking forward to the release. But the lobby system and a couple of the UI decisions that they made irked me a little bit the wrong way. So with this video, I want to give them ideas how to fix these issues with small changes. If there is something that I don't mention, please write it in the comments down below. Much appreciated. Yo, KenDeep here again, this time from the future, because while we were working on this video, Arcsys has actually announced that they're gonna delay the final release of Strive. An amazing choice, I think. It's gonna give them a lot of time to properly fix these things, which is exactly what we were not thinking was gonna happen. With that being said, we still think these issues exist that we're gonna mention right now. And I think it might still be interesting to list how you could deal with those. But with that being said, let's go back to the program. Issue number 1 is the warping of players when they try to get ready. Now, this is something that we have seen a lot in the lobby system. You are trying to find someone, you are rendezvousing with them, and you're saying like, yeah, I'm at the arcade cabinets, let's meet there. Okay, I'm getting ready, and whoosh, he is gone. Now, he didn't really disappear from the lobby, he just moved to a completely different place. And the explanation behind that is that presumably there are actually set places where you can have matches. There is like certain positions that you will get warped to in order to have a match without obstructing the rest of the lobby. A proper fix, in my opinion, would be to just take the arcade cabinet asset that they have in the park and just place it in those places where it's a set position, and make these arcade cabinets interactive instead of the players themselves. I think that would make a lot of things much easier. It would make it a little bit more comfortable as well, and for sure it would make things clearer. Now, number 2 is something that a lot of people might not even notice that much, but it irked me a lot, and that is the own player bubble when you start in a lobby. Now, if you spawn into a lobby, you will see your own player information above your head. And the reason why this could be cumbersome is actually because when you move to the right and you cross a couple of players while your own player information is still displayed, you won't be able to see their information because there can only be one player bubble at a time above your place. You don't see the player name, you don't see the connection quality, in case this is actually in the final game, which I hope, but I think it will be. And all these informations that are very, very crucial for making matches is just not displayed. There's just one easy fix to that. It's don't display your own player information in the bubble. There's no reason why a player would need to know, hey, I am KenDeep, I didn't know that. And if they also display the connection quality, they don't need to display that in your own bubble too. If they really, really want to display that kind of thing, display it in a set position in the HUD, like next to the time or the amount of players that are in the lobby or in the park, something like that, but don't obstruct important information for that. Problem number 3, and we've all been there before, it's the R code. No! Why? Now, the R code is something that just takes above a minute to load. I mean, sometimes you can even get a drink while the R code is loading, and it's still going on when you return. It's really, really bad. When you highlight a player while he is unreadying himself, so he's putting away his weapon, the challenge button inside that pop-up is actually removed. So that button will not be there anymore, and because of that, what used to be the second entry of the list of the buttons will now be the first entry, which is exactly the R code. But in my opinion, the way to fix this should definitely be to just display the challenge button all the time. Especially with the combination of the arcade cabinets fix that I mentioned earlier. I think this would make a lot of things a little bit more clearer, and it would also make things less prone to failure. And I mean to input failure from the user. It would surprise me if this would take longer than 10 minutes to fix, honestly.
Viertes Kaltgestober.
Problem number 4, and fear is German for 4 for those who care, which probably aren't a lot. The Celeste level is the hidden 11th floor that you can reach when you're on the 10th floor and you hit a certain criteria. It is very, very easy to get there, and because it's very easy to get there, you can't really estimate how good the player is that is in that floor. And for me, that has resulted in a lot of matches where I've mauled over the players. The player level just wasn't really visible. An easy way to fix this would either be to just basically increase the ceiling, but another way to fix this would also be to just increase the difficulty of the conditions for reaching the next floor. Now you can already reach floor 10 whenever you want, but leveling up that to that floor would be more difficult by making the conditions harder. Now, those were all lobby-related things, but maybe we should talk a little bit about the in-game HUD, because there are a couple of things that I think really need to change as well. One of these things would be the burst gauge. Now, the burst gauge is horrible. I think it is one of the worst burst meters that I've seen in a Guilty Gear yet, and I'm really sorry to say this, but it is very difficult for me to see if it's 90% burst or if I'm at 100% burst. The contrast is too low between the two states. One is aqua blue and the other is sky blue. It's like, okay, great. Thanks for the contrast, I guess. And the shape is absolutely the same. The animation isn't really like penetrative. It doesn't really grab your attention. So that's really something that they need to change. Changing that properly, I think, would take a lot of time, and I don't think that would be ready for release. But an easy way to fix this would be to just change the color to something that's a little bit more contrasty. There are some colors that you want to avoid because of color blindness, so that's of course also a little bit tricky, but they really need to change at least some sort of contrast to make it more visible. Now, the same issue can also be said about the risk bar. Now, the risk bar is super important in Strive. I think it's even more important than it has ever been in any previous Guilty Gear. It's a 3-pixel size risk bar. It's the one thing that decides if a combo kills you or not. It's super dangerous to not know that value. And it's just because of the small size, and because also the flashing when it's actually at 100% is not enough to grab your attention. An easy way to fix that as well would be to, of course, make it bigger, but I don't think that they're willing to do that. So another option, in my opinion, would be to create a label and display a risk-full label indicator when your risk is actually blinking. Because that's the most important part, when your risk is full, to know, okay, I am now prone to these hits being really dangerous. Now, number 7, and this will be the last thing that I will talk about the HUD in the in-game part, is the tension meter. It's just the fact of not noticing when your tension bar reaches 50% or 100%. It's not noticeable enough, it's just way too difficult to read. The size actually is not bad, I think the size is pretty nice, but the contrast between being in a semi-full or in a full state is just not enough to warrant the attention of the user. And I think in this game it's also really important, because RC is super strong and super fun to play with. Easy way to fix this, again, change the contrast, change the color maybe when it's in a full state, maybe even change the gear icon, make the gear icon bigger so that it really penetrates the shape of the tension bar. Just do something so that it's a little bit more noticeable when there is a state of change happening. I think that's really important, and they really should change this too. Now, the last problem, and this is a problem that is only indirectly influenced by the lobby system, but it has nothing to do with the in-game HUD, is something that has irked me a lot. For me, it was the biggest pain point of the beta by far, and that's saying a lot considering the lobby system itself. It's the quick matching of the game. Now, for those of you who are not aware of how the quick matching works, here's a quick summary. You go into the main menu, and then you select the online functionality, and then you go into the quick match option. Now, as soon as you're in the quick match option, you are in the character select screen, and from that point on, you will already be able to matchmake against people. That is awesome. Please keep that. And even if you go into the practice mode, the same behavior stands. So that is super nice. I almost said Gaia. But the one issue is that what happens behind the curtain, you are being spawned in a lobby. And I think it's the lobby that you were last visiting. So it's either a park or a floor, depending on where you were last. And you're only being able to matchmake against people in that same lobby. And that's actually really bad, because if I want to quick match, I just want to have a match against random people. I don't want to matchmake against the same guy over and over and over again. My pool is limited to that one floor, which is consisting of 32 people. And most of them are already in a match, and they matchmake in the lobby. So I maybe have like 3 or 4 people available that will be able to matchmake against me randomly. Now, if there is one thing that I want to fix from this whole list, I think it should be this one, because this is important for new players, because they don't know who they want to matchmake against. This is important for intermediate players, because they want to play against random people and see like both sides of the levels, like people who are above them and below them. And I think it's also really, really important for streamers, because for them it's the best method to actually stream and engage with the audience, because it also allows them to have a little bit of a break and just, you know, react to the chat a little bit more. I hope it gets fixed, and I hope it gets fixed immediately. Not all things that Arcsys did with Stripe were bad when it comes to the UI or UX. So for example, we have the practice mode. The practice mode is just on another level. If it had actual frame data, I think it would be the best practice mode yet for any Arcsys game. And they've made a couple of really, really strong ones. I think the move list is actually also one of the big wins. It's displayed amazingly well, it's really easy to read, it gives you all the necessary information quickly, and I think especially for newcomers it's very easy to navigate as well. One thing that I also want to mention, and it actually ties to my last issue that I listed in this whole video, is also concerning the quick matching option. You have the availability of getting a practice mode scenario with the last match that you had. So if you played against a Rem Lethal player and you were a chip player in your last match, then you will also spawn into the quick match practice mode with those exact settings. It's awesome. That is absolutely one of the best features that I have had for the quick match setting that I've ever seen. And I hope more people and more games and more companies copy that as well to their own games, for sure. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. Thanks again for tuning in. If you liked the video, please like it. If you like more of my content, please consider subscribing. It helps out the channel a ton. And please consider sharing my stuff too. Thanks to Accelerator for making this video possible with his editing skills. And yeah, thanks a lot. Have a great day and see you next time.